So today we are going to be making a wreath from a kit that I have available in my shop. If you go to Etsy and search for Sweet Aria Decor, you will find my shop. Now this is, usually I have like some thin wreath kits. This is not thin. Oh no, this is a big fluffy gal, okay? So this one, this comes with this lovely, very easy to use work frame in red. We've got our sign that says home for the holidays. Okay, we got that, which I love. I do have two kinds of mesh in there. One is red, one is white. This is 10-inch mesh. I've already pre-cut it. I pre-cut 18 pieces at 18 inches long. Okay. Then we have some ribbon. We have this beautiful holly berry, which reminds me of Halle Berry, which is kind of funny. We've got some holly berry with a drift edge. I've already taken the liberty of cutting some of the tails on that to save some time. But then we also have this one. This is one of my favorite ones because it's just a simple plaid, but it just looks so cozy and warm and inviting. And this is the red with green. So I've got that. And then as our 1.5-inch accent, I have this. This is also one of my favorites. I think this is possibly my favorite 1.5-inch just because it's so traditional with the plaid, the little crosshatch. I love that so much. The kit also does come with 2 pipe cleaners. And on the back, I have already taken the liberty of attaching the cable tie mounts to the back of the sign. I've used E6000 to hold it in place. That's a craft adhesive glue you can get at Amazon, Hobby Lobby, places like that. It's E6000. You can even try a hardware store. And then I've gone around the outside edges with hot glue just to hold this in place while the E6000 cures, because that takes about a good 24 hours. So I've already done that. I'm going to put Mr. Sign off to the side and say hello to Trisha and Linda. Linda, how was your craft show? I hope it was fantastic. And Erica's first time watching. Well, hello, you are now officially a sweetie. Welcome. And then we have these cute little berry sticks. I'm going to show you how we're going to apply that at the end. But right now, we are going to work on stuffing this wreath. So I'm going to move all my ribbon off to the side. There we go. Okay, so we have this wreath frame, which these are awesome. Basically, we just put the mesh right in these little branches and then just twist it. So I'm just gonna bring these out to make it easier. Okay, the ribbon goes in here, the mesh goes in here. These are wonderful forms to use. Now this is gonna make a fluffier wreath. We're talking possibly 26 inches wide by maybe 9 inches deep. So this is a big one, but that's all right. Because sometimes we like them big, don't we? Don't we, ladies? We like them big. Yes, we do. Okay, I have, like I said, taken the liberty of cutting both things of mesh. I have white and I have red. They have metallic stripe on the edge. That's why it's called metallic stripe. I've cut all of this at 18 inches. There should be enough to cut 19 pieces on each roll, so I do have an extra set. I tossed over to the side, but that's why I don't cut it any longer than that. Otherwise, you're not going to have enough mesh here. Your project, and that would stink. Okay, now when I cut it, I laid both rolls on top of each other. So as I cut it, it was already alternating for me, the red and the white, right? So you would take your spool, lay them on top of each other, bring it out like that, and then you could just cut it one on top of each other. And then I lay them flat, and then at the end, they kind of all just curl up. So this helps me to kind of maintain a little bundle so it doesn't go rolling off the table. Because nothing drives me nuts more than mesh going rolling off my table. Well, Ruth Jean, hi from Louisiana. Well, hello, and hello, Kathy. Awesome. I'm so glad you guys are joining me today. Thank you so much. All right, so we're going to make this wreath with cruffles. What a cruffle is a part cruffle. It's a part curl and part ruffle. So cruffle, right? So how we do this is we're going to go curl side up. Okay, you see how it wants to curl up naturally. We're going to go curl side up, and we're just going to start from the end about 1 inch, and then we're going to curl it 2 to 3 times from the top, 2 to 3 times from the bottom. What that does then is the cut part of the mesh is sealed inside here, so it's going to fray much, much less. And now we're just going to scrunch it up there until it's a bow tie. We're going to go in this outside shape, and I'm just going to put that in there and just kind of temporarily it's in there because we're going to do this again now with a white. Okay, just going to do that again. We're going to curl down from the top 1, 2, 3. And then curl up from the bottom. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to gather it. We're going to scrape up the middle. You can almost hear a scraping sound until it's going to look like one of those pieces of farfalle pasta, right? It looks like a little bow tie. Then we're going to go right back in. Open this up. And instead of laying it right on top, we're going to try to go on a little bit of an angle. So it's kind of like making an X shape, okay? Because we're trying to get as much round-shaped coverage here as we can. So that's why I like to do that. Now, when we do the next set, you can either continue with the red on the bottom, white on the top, or you can alternate, which is kind of what I like to do. So we're going to alternate this. I'm going to grab the next 2 pieces of mesh. I like to grab them 2 at a time. This time we're going to start with white on the bottom and red on the top. So I did pre-cut this again. This is cut at 18 inches long. We cut 18 pieces because there's 18 spots on this wreath. It does give you a 9th or a 19th just in case for some reason, if you notice there's a splice in the middle of a roll of mesh, which has sometimes happened, then that gives you kind of a little something extra to work with so you don't have to worry. All right. So you see how that's kind of like alternating now? I think that kind of spreads out the color a little more evenly. I like to do that. Okay, I'm just going to go around. If you're watching this on a replay, this is not the fun part of wreath making, okay? Making the base ain't the fun part. So if you do want to fast forward through the section, you absolutely can. Just come back after we've added it all on the top. The bottom and the top are the same, but do start on the bottom. Otherwise, you have to kind of struggle to get the mesh underneath there, and it might end up snagging on the top, and it kind of becomes a pain. So I recommend starting on the bottom. But again, this is your wreath. You want to do whatever you want to do with this. This kit comes with all the pieces you need to make a wreath, but that doesn't mean you can't go in and add some things on your own, right? Hey, I've got these florals. Hey, I've got these glitter sprays I want to put in there. This is a base, and you don't have to add anything else or build it out. The whole point is that you want to make a wreath that is reflective of you, your personality, your tastes, and your family, right? And the cool thing is, you know, this is a fun project to do with your family. So say you have grandkids coming over and you want something to do with them. You can make this wreath kit with them. They can make it and give it to their parents for Christmas. You would just have to supervise the cutting, obviously, and giving them a little hand, but they can scrunch up mesh. They can do this. They can pair ribbons together and open these tines up and put that in there. And just think of how much more that's going to mean to the family, knowing that that's something that was handmade by you, by them. It's very fun to do. Okay, now we're going to go red on the bottom, white on the top again. Plus also, sometimes you want a wreath, but you see, oh my gosh, having a finished wreath like that, I can't afford that, but I can afford the kit. So you can then try making it yourself. And maybe you don't have all the money to add in the picks and stuff that you want to this year, but that doesn't mean that you can't add them in next year, right? Or switch things out. Maybe you don't want to glue something in. Maybe you want to just kind of poke it in there this year, and next year take it out and put something else in. You can do that too. It's very versatile. That's why I like mesh. It's very forgiving. It's kind of like my yoga pants. It's very forgiving. Okay. Now I am also live on YouTube while I'm doing this. Unfortunately, I don't have the comments up here to look on YouTube, so I will go back and I will reply to comments once I am done with the live broadcast. But again, I have all these kits available in my shop. If you go to Etsy and you search for, my business name is called Sweet Aria Decor. I do have finished decor items in there, but I've got a lot of kits. There's a whole category. So if you click below the little search bar in my shop, there should be a category and you can pick ribbons, sign and mesh. You can pick wreath kits. You can pick Christmas. I've got everything. Easter, 4th of July, all that stuff. I go by holiday. I go by season. Based on this morning, I think it is the season for sneezing. Is it me, or I've noticed as I get older, I don't just sneeze once I now am to the point where I will sneeze like at least 5 or 6 times in a row, sometimes more, and I don't know why that's happening. But it's making me tingle in my pants, and I don't like it. I don't know why that's happening now. Like, I can handle one sneeze, but you just keep adding one on top of each other, and don't stand behind me, because you will be in the splash zone. It will not be fun. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. It's just a weird thing. Here we go. Scraping this up the middle. Like I said, this is not the fun part of wreath making, but you know, if we don't make the base, because I'm all about that base, wired ribbon. Sorry. I'm not going to ruin that awesome Megan Trainor song by trying to sing it and make up my own words. Nope. I leave that to the paid professionals. All right. Here we go. I'm probably going to be listing this in my shop, but I'm going to be taking it to a craft show that I have coming up this weekend. I've got the next 2 weekends in a row. I have my big shows. I've got Christmas Crossroads, which is at a Lockport High School here in the western suburbs of Illinois, Lockport, Illinois. It's a huge show. They have a field house. They've got some gyms that they opened up. I was in the gym last year and I did fantastic. So I'm really hoping that I do just as well this year. I hope, fingers crossed. The show that I did 2 weekends ago at College of DuPage, that was in Glen Ellen, Illinois. That one went really, really, really well, which was nice because the one before that stunk. Here we go. All right. So this is the last set on the bottom. Now with these frames, you can also use, if you have 21-inch mesh, you can also use what's called the poof method, where you just kind of make some poofs in between, and then you could add in one 10-inch cruffle on the top of that if you wanted to. But I think for a lot of people, they just prefer the 10-inch mesh. Okay, so here's what our base looks like now with just the outside ring done. I mean, if for some reason you only wanted to do the outside ring, that's something that you could always choose to do. But we want to go on the top now, okay? Here's what it looks like from the side. There's a side angle with just the bottom. All right, now we're gonna go get fluffy on the top. All right, here we go. We'll start right here. Let's start with a white on the bottom, red on the top. Okay. Excellent. It's been a pretty good year with me for expanding into the kits. That seems to be where my business is pivoting. Seems to most of the people that watch me are fellow wreath makers, so I think that's kind of where my direction is going to head in 2026 with expanding upon the kits, doing that kind of thing. I did play around too with the idea of doing some tomato cage tree kits, hopefully in conjunction with my friend Liz from Wild Ring Wreath Design, where I would provide everything, including the instructions, but not the actual tomato cage, because it's big. Yeah, it's big. You can go pick one up for $4 or $5 at your local home improvement store. I have actually tried to ship the tomato cage trees done, and they cost about between $60 and $80 to ship if I don't cut down the top of the tree and if I make it full size. So cost prohibitive to ship. I've tried for years to find different ways to do it, and it just I have to specifically cut it down and then make it one rung shorter than I normally would, which is why there's only one type of tree available for sale in my shop, and that's Mr. Snowman. And even then, it's so hard to ship. If they would just let the length requirement be like 33 inches instead of like 30, it would cut down on a lot of the cost. But they don't charge by weight, they charge by size. So I guess size matters. What can brown do for you? Not much. Not much. If you're going to charge me that, it's prohibitive. I'm going to go back and check my comments real quick on the Facebook. Saying hello to everyone. Oh, Stephanie would like to do a tomato cage kit. Okay, awesome. Because I think that's what I'm going to do. Because I've got, you know, I can get the 21-inch mesh, you know, what we need for the cruffles, all that stuff. And then we were even thinking about doing like an online seminar. You could watch me make one in real time as well as get access to the videos. But that's going to be something for next year. Probably would start that perhaps in August. Doing that next year. I think I'm going to actually pivot to trying to, I'm making the kits, but then Christmas stuff I'm going to try to make year round because I do a lot of shows toward the end of the year. And honestly, I'm stressed and strapped for time. And I don't work well under that kind of pressure. I don't know if anyone else is like this, but when I get really, really stressed, I get very, very drowsy. And then it's hard to do anything. It's like my body just shuts down. Which I wasn't like that before, but I think after I lost my husband, that was kind of like my grief response. And it's 5 years later, and that apparently is still my response to most everything. So, yay! It's funny how grief can just mess with every single aspect of your life. It's crazy. It's crazy. All right, here we go. Hopefully everyone's watching. You guys can see what we're doing online. Oh, well, Mama's Wreath Shop loves it already. Well, thank you. I'm liking it too. I just love the traditional colors, red and white. To me, it's just pretty. To me, what did it was the sign. I love the sign so much. And if you're just joining, let me show you what the sign looks like for this. It is the, oops, not over. It is a home for the holidays, which I think is so super cute. Again, this makes a great gift. Make it for someone you love, and then when you tell them that you made it, it's going to mean that much more, right? You know, and it's not like when your kid comes home and they've made like macaroni art, and you have to put it on your fridge and like, oh, that looks so good. Oh God. You know, like it'll be something pretty that they'll want to hang out. All right, just 2 more sets to go, and then we get to go on to the fun stuff. All right. 2 more cruffles. Again, these were cut at 18 inches long. You can get 19 pieces off a roll. There's 18 spots on the wreath. Hence why I picked the magic number of 18 inches. I like to have 1 extra. And then save all your extra pieces because you can always use them in an evergreen wreath. You can kind of put ones that coordinate together. And you can, at the end of the season, just make a wreath with all of your spare leftover pieces. I mean, they have to coordinate, but you know. There we go, 1 little spot left. We're going to do red on the bottom, white on the top. And then we're going to cut some of our other ribbon tails. All right, red on the bottom. White on the top. Okay. Scrunching, scrunching, scrunching. All right, here we go. Okay, slide to the side. So here is our finished wreath base. It does measure, I mean, if you go like fat end to fat end, we're talking like, yeah, you could get away with calling it 24 inches. 24 inches. And the depth is, right now, it's about 7 inches. So it's not too bad. All right, so the next thing we want to do is cut our ribbon tails, okay? So these are ribbons. Now this is all wired ribbon because that works the best. It's bendable, it retains its shape, it's really nice. I've already cut 1 stack, so there's a whole bunch left on the roll for our bow, but I've cut 18 pieces of this at 14 inches long, okay? So I've cut 18 at 4 inches long. I'm gonna do the same now with this pattern. I have a ribbon tail board. I got this from Hot Mesh Mom. It's my favorite thing. I'm cutting 18 pieces at 14 inches long. I cannot cut all 18 at once, but I'm going to do 10 and then 8. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You guys remember that? Good old PBS. Here we go. Going through here. All right. Now you gotta have some good sharp scissors. I'm gonna keep this stacked so I can dovetail it all at once because these are good sharp scissors. So I'm bending all the wired edges together and I'm cutting outward from the inside outward on an angle toward the wire. Okay, and then you end up with this very pretty V shape. Okay, I'm gonna do that on the other side. I'm gonna do that now where I can focus on the camera over here. I'm cutting angled. Watch they go flying. Fling! And there we go with our V shape. It makes it look professional and it keeps it from fraying, so that is typically what most of us do with our ribbon tails. Here we go. Now, because this has the chenille edge on the edges, it's a little harder to make sure that they're all lined up exactly right, but I tried. All right. Okay, come on, little guys, line up. Here we go. Okay, outward. Okay. That is 8. But that is 10. I need 8 more. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then the rest remains for the bow. Did I really cut 18 pieces? Yeah, I did on the other one. It just didn't. It looked like there's a lot left on the roll compared to this one. Okay. Now, I'm going to talk about the 1.5 inch, even though I'm not looking at it right now. But this is the 1.5 inch. Now, there's options you can do. You can cut tails, and you can put them in there as tails. I'm going to choose not to do that because I'm going to do something a little different that I've never done before. And I'm going to try to make some extra little bows with the 1.5 inch that I'll kind of put around some of the outside once we're done. So I'm going to use the 1.5 inch for the bow, and then after that bow, we're going to go back with the 1.5 inch and potentially make some other little smaller bows just to add a little decor in there, a little bit more, maybe a touch of white to kind of lighten it up if we need it. Or who knows, maybe I'll decide we don't need to. All right, but for right now, I'm only going to use that 1.5 inch for the bow. But again, you make it however you want to make it for you. All right, I'm going to put these behind me on my ribbon tail board. So don't lose it. All right. Now we're going to just go add these into here. And it's very easy to do. If you can stack, then you can add ribbon tails. Okay, so we're going to use the plaid as our bottom, and I'm going to use the holly berry as my top. So they're stacked on top of each other. I'm just going to fold them over, bend them in half, so I can see the center point. Okay, see the center point here? Okay, so I bent them over, and I see the center point. All right, now I'm going to pinch it up. I'm going to start on the outside, okay? I'm going to open up a set of tines. I'm going to put those tails in there, and I'm going to twist it right back up once. Give it a 2 twist. So it's in there like this, okay? You see that? And then we're going to spread these out. We're going to separate these so they're in an X shape. So my green comes up, my holly berry goes down, and then on the other side, my holly berry comes up, and my green goes down, okay? So it looks like an X. Here we go. Here we go. I'm going to do that all the way around. I'm not going to alternate the pattern of my ribbons. You can if you want to. That's just not something that I feel like I want to do with this. From here on out, I'm going to keep it pretty standard. I'm like, symmetry is my thing, and if it's not symmetrical, then it drives me nuts. So, which is a little hard sometimes when you end up making a wreath that has a sign on one side and a bow on the other, and it's like, oh, it has to feel balanced for me, otherwise I just can't do it. I just can't do it. It's got to have balance. All right. Stacking these. Here we go. Bending over. I want to make sure everybody can see. Sorry, I'm working on the right side. The camera's on the left over here for my FB friends. So I probably should bring that over so you can see a little bit better what I am doing. go. Just going around. You really want to get it in, get it as tight a twist as you can. Otherwise, sometimes you don't want, if it's not tight enough, then all the mesh and the ribbon will get floppy on the frame, and it'll kind of flop forward. And it looks like it needs Wreath Viagra. So we don't want that to happen. So as tight as you can. Like me, trying to fit into my space. It is tight. It is not comfortable. But it works. All right, here we go. Give it a good twist. So in these parts with the little branch that's sticking out, if you wanted to go back through at any point and put in, you know, flowers, that would be a good spot. You could put that in there, right? Just kind of going around doing that. But you don't have to. Like I said, this is all up to you as to what you want to do. I try to keep the cost of this as low as I possibly could. I don't make a whole lot off the kits. I used to make more when I would go to the warehouse sale and I would get stuff like really inexpensively at half off. The problem with that is I could only get a very limited number of quantities. So some of my kits only have perhaps 4 or 3 of a kit, which is why they don't all have videos. So that's why I'm trying to order now more in the larger quantities. Everything usually comes in 12 or 24. But then the price is also higher on that. So trying to be transparent with my costs there, everyone. I'm also trying to grow this. I've got 3 years to either grow this into a sustainable business, or I have to go back to getting a job in the corporate world, which is not my goal. That's all I'll say about that. Not my goal. So we'll see. We'll see. The community is growing. I'm up to about 90,000 followers, which is fantastic because I love sharing my passion for crafting. And I'll tell you why. I'm not going to be a Debbie Downer about this, okay? You heard me mention before about my husband passing away. I did this kind of like, you know, for fun on the side, you know. But then my husband passed away 4 days before Christmas in 2020. And it sent my entire world upside down. The world stopped for me. And it was, you know, it was a couple weeks before I could even, I felt guilty about crafting. Like, why am I going to go sit there and make something when he's gone? It felt wrong. But then the more I did it, I realized it was really good therapy because it gave me back a sense of control, which I had lost all control. Things were happening that I couldn't stop, I couldn't prevent, but it gave me control. This mesh is going to go in here. This is going to look how I want. This is going to stay positioned here. And it seems like something little, you know, it doesn't seem like it would be that big of a deal, but it really helped me get my mind in a more positive space and really just kind of focus on moving, not getting past him, never getting over him, but moving forward in life without becoming stuck, which is hard when you've lost your person. It's very hard. Okay, now we're going to go to the top. So we've got everything done on the outside here. Everything done on the outside. Now we're going to go to the top. Here we go. I will say, and you've heard me say it before if you watch me, that a therapist would be cheaper than doing crafting because Hobby Lobby does not take my insurance. But it really, really does help. So if you know, it clears your mind. It gives you something outside of yourself to focus on. And if you want to shut your mind off, just think, okay, just think ribbon, 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 cruffle, cruffle, cruffle. Like, you can really get out of your own head. And I think that's the main takeaway from trying to do stuff like this, is it's just really good therapy. We can make pretty from pain, right? That's my motto, make pretty from pain. And then all of a sudden that pain ends up coming in your hands because you're making too much stuff, which is where I'm at right now. My tendons, my hands. Ooh. I made 8 tomato cage trees over the weekend. And I am paying for it today. That's for sure. All right. You see, I'm still doing the X pattern. Okay. Some of it we can kind of bring down. So as we're kind of going through here, I like to have that one be on top. You see, we're trying to like pull it down so these start coming down and kind of meeting up with these. So you don't want to really see a line. You want it to kind of be sort of like seamless, where they kind of start like where they naturally gravitate toward each other. Okay, that's kind of what we want. And we also want to make sure that some come in the center of the wreath, even though we are going to have a sign there, but it's not going to cover everything. So we do want to have some ribbon that comes into the middle. Some people like to have that hole visible. They want their wreath to have a hole in the middle. And some people like it more when there's more stuff on it. And it's more of like the over-the-top jam-packed with lots of goodies kind of wreath. So think about that too when you're working on where you want to place your sign. How I'm going to show you to place your sign is just my recommendation for this one time, this one kit. But I could do this a whole bunch of different ways. I have a kit out there. It looks very similar. It's a fall version with the house, and it says "Gather here with grateful hearts." And that one has the sign down at the sign on the top with the bow below it. This time we're going to do something different, just because I wanted to be able to have the same style of wreath, basically almost identical. In terms of, you know, materials and whatnot, but show you different ways to play around with it. There we go. Because you don't always want to get stuck using the same recipe or the same style, right? You want to do something different. Mix it up. Mix it up a little bit. All right. Just got a couple more sets of tails to put in, and then we'll talk sign placement. There we go. Holly on top of plaid. Bend it in half, go up the crease, pop it in, nice and tight 2 twists, and then we're going to separate out our X with the X-Men. I did watch Fantastic Four over the weekend. Speaking of Marvel, which we're not, I watched the Fantastic Four movie. It was okay. I mean, I was glad I didn't pay money to see it in the theater, but it was all right, you know, to watch on Disney Plus. I did get stuck, however, in a loop on Netflix, just watching endless Christmas movies. Which we do that this time of year. I got my daughter into it a little bit too, but she only watches in 20-minute increments, so. Here we go. But it's that time of year. Hallmark ones, and I like that they all end up happy, but they always end up with, like, usually the woman has to sacrifice her job. It's okay. I don't need to have the goals I've worked for my entire life. I'm going to give them up to be with a man. No, honey, no. No. You want the man who's going to leave the little city to go, the little country to go to the big city to be with you. Right? Yeah. The ones I watch, though, they're kind of getting away from that whole formula because I think people are tired of it. They're like, that's not reality. That's not real life. Then I guess we're not watching Christmas movies for real life. Because Santa doesn't magically come down and, like, leave me stuff that I asked for when I was a child. Or help me find my true love. I had him. I asked Santa for a cure for sarcoma. He did not deliver. Granted, that was out of his control, but still, he failed me. He failed me. That's all right. But he did bring me some hand soap from Bed Bath & Beyond, so I guess no. All right, here we go. Here is our nice finished fluffy wreath. We are now we're kind of starting to encroach more toward 26 inches. And our depth is now probably, I'd say, closer to an 8. All right. So now we have a home for the holidays. And there are 2 pipe cleaners. So on the back here, I have already attached, like I told you before, my cable tie mounts with E6000, and then go around it with hot glue. Now I've had this sitting like this for about an hour. So I'm not gonna tug too hard because I don't want it to come off. But this slides right through the cable tie mount. Okay. And I'm gonna bring it up and then just give it a nice twist when it's centered. Just so it doesn't go sliding around on us, okay? Ooh. These lights are hot. Having a hot flash, ladies and gentlemen. Ooh. All right, so let's talk placement. I put mine cable ties, I guess you could call it, I'll call it like a 10 and a 4 o'clock. I guess when I flip it around, it's more like a 2 and a It's like a, I don't know, like a 1 and a 7. Because I kind of want to go kind of like this, down and bottom an angle, and then across the top here. So the top left on an angle, I'm going to be putting bows, and I'm going to maybe have some cascades coming out, okay? So I'm going to put this here. So I'm going to try to put them right here and right here. I'm going to go over where these spots are. I'm going to take the pipe cleaner and just go over that and follow. There's already a natural path there. If you follow what I call the butt crack of the mesh, right? Follow the crack. I'm pulling my hand underneath. Now, I'm not pulling so hard that that cable tie mount's going to come off, okay? I'm just kind of tightening it. And when I'm all done, I'll flip it over and I'll show you the back. I just want to get the one in place, okay? So my one over here is tightened, and then my one over here. I like to also try to think of it. I always put one of these at directly at 12, and usually there's one at 6. So if you kind of think of it kind of like a clock for how you place things. It's more important to do that when you're working on, say, a pancake wreath. With one of these larger wreaths, it's not as big of a deal. But when I'm trying to explain it for positioning, it helps. Okay. Flip this over. Okay, I'm flipping over the wreath. I'm going to hold on to the sign. I'm flipping it over so you guys can see. Okay. I'm twisting this whole piece, and I'm going to wrap it right around the frame, just like that, just for added security. Okay, so this way, just twisting this whole piece all together, and then I'm just going to wrap it around the extra frame, just so it kind of comes that way and comes back around a little bit more. I don't want to cut it off, because if I need to move that sign, I want to be able to have pipe cleaner to work with, all right? So now here we go. That is our placement on this. So I'm going to go back and kind of like look at where my ribbons are. Now for the ribbons that are stuck under the sign, if you can't see the ribbon tail, then just kind of pull it out. Like, let's leverage it. There's no reason it has to hide behind there if no one's going to see it, all right? So kind of pulling these around, but still making sure that I can see some ribbon tails kind of behind here, okay? We like that, all right? Later on, when we're all done, actually maybe we'll do this now. I want to tighten this just a hair. Tighten it just a smidge. A little bit. Okay, there we go. Just wanted to have a little tighter. Again, I just didn't want it to pop off because I didn't have the E6000 curing for super long. All right, we're down here at the bottom. It's looking good. Home for the holidays. All right. So now we're going to move to talking about the bow. So the bow is going to go up here, top left. I don't want tails coming down. I want my tails are going to kind of be coming out from the sides like little streamers. But they don't actually have to really be attached to the bow. They can come out from behind. So I'm going to make a bow that's rounded, and then I will add some additional tails in there. I'll poke it in there, and it's going to look like it's cascades, like it's all attached, but it's not. It's just easier to do it this way, especially if you're a beginning wreath maker. So let me move my wreath off to the side and let me talk comments. I got to say hi to my people that are watching. I'm so sorry. I have been neglecting you because I am a terrible host. Carol loves the house sign. Awesome. Jen, I'm glad you like it. Julie, I'm glad you guys like it. Thank you so much. All right, cool. Here we go. All right, so we have 3 patterns. This is going to be my top one, so I'm going to put that to the side for now. This is going to be my bottom, and this is going to be my top because I love this one the most. I'm sorry, nothing against you, Plaid. I love you too, Plaid. I love you too. All right. So I am weird. I like to start by dovetailing my ribbon. You don't have to. You can do it when you're done, but I like to start by dovetailing. So for this one, if it's going to be on an angle, I want to be able to see a little bit of the tail poking out. So I'm going to have this kind of come out to like, we're going to call it like 8. We'll have that off to the side, okay? Pinch and twist. Okay. Come over here. Now I'm looking at the back side of the ribbon, okay? Now this is where the fun begins. Bring over my loop. Bring this down. And I think I'm going to have that first loop be 7 inches because I want this to be big and loopy, so 7 inches, okay? I'm not flattening, I'm just following the natural curve. I'm going to pinch and twist, okay? And then I'm looking at the back side on the right. We're going to bring this over and do 7 inches there as well, okay? Let's look at how much I got left. We've got enough. We could potentially do another, tail. So I'm going to do that. Pinch and twist, doing another tail. Okay, put that in there, 7 inches. Pinch and twist again. Now we're working back on the right, making another 7-inch loop. Okay, now this one cut off. It hits just past 8, so I'm going to cut this a little past 8, like 8.5, because I want to dovetail it. There's not much left on that. All right, let's take a look at how much was left on the spool. Okay, we're talking, what do we got here? Roughly about 28 inches. I might find something to do with this. We could make perhaps some loops. If I cut it in half to have 2. Or we can have, you know what, we might have some additional cascade, so I'm going to save this to make a cascade. So I'm going to put that over there. Okay. Now, I want to spread this out. So how I want this ribbon to be is I want it to have the tail coming in the center. So I'm just going to move everything around before I put that next layer on. Okay? So it's like an X with the line right through it. All right? I like that because, again, I don't want tails coming down and interfering with the roof line of the sign. Okay, so now we have our next one. Here we go. Holly. Have a holly jolly Christmas. All right, now I'm going to start again over on this side. We put that tail down here. And I think this time I'm going to work with maybe a little more. I'm going to do a tail, a loop. Okay, that loop is going to come in at 6 inches. Tail, a loop, a tail. All right, that loop's going to kind of be over that tail, and these are going to kind of come up and over, but not obscuring. So we might go like that, okay? Because I don't want to obscure everything like that. All right. This is going to come this way, and we're going to do the tail. And again, that tail is like 7 inches. Here we go. Pinch and twist. We have a tail. That loop then hit at, it was like 6.5. All right, and then a tail. A little past where I had cut. All right, and then the rest, again, like I said, we can keep for some cascades. But it kind of be toward the top. Okay, so I got this, we got that. All right, so now, here's where, look at that. Here's a splice. Okay, that's what I was talking about having splices. That's a pain. We don't like splice. But I still have, that is a, here, let me pull this off. So you guys can see how much is left on the roll. Dear God. Was that in there with super glue? Jeez Louise. Oh my gosh. All right. There's still a lot left on here. So we can use this for our additional cascades. All right. Now I'm going to bring over this 1.5 because this is where I want to bring this in is with the bow. All right. This one is going to where I have the center loop. All right. So I'm going to dovetail. Bring this over. So that's probably about a 6-inch tail. Pinch and twist. Bring it around. Bring this around for a loop at 5 inches. A loop at, double check on my other side, loop at 5 inches. Okay, that was, I'm sorry, I'm double checking, that was cut at 6 inches. Okay, now I want to put a cute little center loop in here, so I'm going to put another layer in, okay? Or not, maybe that's, no, I want to put a little center loop. I like to have a a little baby loop in the middle. So I'm going to cut. So we're going to go down, we're going to do a tail, pinch. Now this, I'm going to do this one at like, let's see what we're going to do. I don't like how that looks. Four inches. I'm just debating whether or not to have like a little tiny baby loop in the middle. I think I'm going to do it. Pinch and twist. Baby loop. My baby loop is always about 3 fingers. Okay. And another tail coming off, just hitting kind of just past here. All right. All right, I'm going to grab another one of these chenille stem. All right. If you want to, you can zip tie this. Actually, I think I might zip tie this. You don't have to. I just feel like I want to on this. I'm just getting a zip tie. But you can just wrap your whole pipe cleaner around this. But I'm going to put my pipe cleaner in the back. And I'm going to take the zip tie and go all the way around because I want this to be big and fluffy. Okay. All right. Pulling real tight. Snipping off the back. Fling. That always happens. You should see what that other side of my table looks like. It is a disaster. All right. And then now, I like to just do that just to make sure it's not going to slide around, okay? And I'm going to take advice from my friend Liz from Wilder Wreath Design. Was talking. She did a video yesterday about not sinking your bows. Not having your bows be dug in really, really far in your wreath, right? You want it to kind of stay on the top. And I have a habit of sometimes sinking my bows. So I'm going to try really hard not to do that, okay? Bow maker behind me, coming back, grabbing this, okay? I'm not going to put it on right now. I'm going to talk kind of placement, okay? That's going to kind of be the placement. So you see why I was kind of keeping it with the tails kind of going wide there? This is kind of going to be how it goes. Before I put that in there, though, you remember I have these. I have these. Okay, so we're going to put these, you know, if you want to take them apart, you can, but for beginners, I'm going to make this easy. We're just going to kind of go in. And we're going to open up these tines right here. So we're going to open up a set of these twists, and I'm just going to set it in there and twist it right back in. You know, good and tight, but twisted. So it's in there. Make sure it's on top of there. Okay. All right. And like, you don't even have to cut these off because the bow is going to cover this. All right. So I'm leaving one in between, and I'm kind of going on, I would say like the 12 o'clock and like the 9 o'clock ones are kind of where I'm going with these, because when I put the bow on there, that's what we're gonna have that, okay? And I think that's good. Might be able to come in just a little bit more with some of these. So let me open that back up and come back in a little bit more. Bring it in just a little bit. And you can always get more. You can add more across the top if you wanted to. You could cut these apart. And if you wanted to, like, bring some more up toward the top, you could absolutely do that. I'm going to try to separate these out a little bit. But I want to make sure that this is moved in as much as possible. There we go. Just trying to do this the easy method for someone who may not have a whole lot of experience in this. All right. So here we go. I want to make sure all the balls are coming out at top and that you kind of cover the stick as much as possible. Okay. Now, scooting this around. I'm going to have both of these sticks kind of together because I'm going to open this back up and I can stick the ends of those sticks in here too, right? So we've got that all together. So now it's secured. Each one is secured in 2 different spots. All right. They're not going anywhere. You could always add a dab of glue if you want to. You don't have to. Now I'm going to take my pipe cleaner. I'm going to straddle this one. All right. I'm going to kind of go follow where the the mesh has gone in. So follow the butt crack of the mesh. All right, and it's very easy then to kind of just slide right in there without trying to go through the mesh. You don't want to poke through the mesh, because then sometimes it'll catch on the mesh and then it's a disaster. All right. Now I think when I go live on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. on the face page, I think the one I'm going to do this week is I think we're doing a Nutcracker Grapevine. I think that's what I want to do. All right. Okay, so I got my bow here. I'm just twisting it right around the frame, just like I did with the sign. All right. Let's see if this looks good. Okay. Fluffing. Okay. And then on the back, see, this is just where it kind of did that. So I'm just going to wrap that a little bit around the frame. You can always cut it to be even if you want to. I don't think I need to do that. But there, that way it's not going to stick on anything. It's nice and secure. All right. Refluff our bow. So here's our wreath as it stands currently. Now, we could leave it like this, but we do have all of that 1.5 inch ribbon. So let's play around with some potential ideas of what we could do. And we also have this to make some cascades. So I think I'm going to take this. I'm going to cut. I'm going to cut this. We're going to layer these on top of each other and make some cascades. Not all the way around the whole thing, but just a couple places. So I do want to start. Now my wreath is upside down here. I want to kind of start here and go over here and then come out there, okay? So I'm going to start with pinching. It's about a 7 inch tail, okay? I'm just going into the spots where I already have this. I'm going to lay that in there and just repinch, and there we go, okay? Now this is going to kind of come over the top. Leave these layered on top of each other, but don't pull them too tightly, all right? Do this, kind of go in, just pinch it, open this up, put it in, and then if you need to like slide it down a little, you know, hey, that's a little too much. You want it kind of resting on there, but not, you don't want it pulling tight. That's too tight, but just like that, okay? It's nice. It gives a little life, okay? And then cut this one off. I think we said this was like about 7, so let's kind of do that. All right, and then we're going to dovetail that. All right. But we don't want to just leave it layered on top of it. See, that's covering that. We want to separate this out. So we got that one is, so when you look at it, that tail is coming down. If you look at the top of the wreath, that one's going up, and then this one's going to be coming down again, okay? All right, so when we look at it, we have some stuff coming up here. We can kind of pull this toward the front a little bit, pull this one toward the, we'll go that way, kind of that way with it a little bit, all right? So it adds some, a little bit more color, a little bit more fun up there, right? Just a little bit of that. And then kind of come down, do the same. Can probably do 2 more spots actually, because we have quite a bit of this ribbon left. All right. All right. So we've got one there. Let's work down this way. So I'm talking right here about like the, I guess it's like the 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock position, kind of right up there. Get your twist. Open up this set of tines or branches and retwist it back in there. All right. I like doing this. This is really bringing in the white. You could always just do cascades just with the white if you wanted to. Yes, Vicky, this is a kit. This is a kit that is available in my shop. If you go to Sweet Aria Decor, DOTCOM. It doesn't like when I say it. I'm not allowed to say it for some reason. I don't know why. But if you go check there, I do have this as a kit. Everything you see here is included, except the wreath maker. I'm not included. But I mean, I can be bought. I'm willing to trade myself for a couple rolls of fair silk ribbon. Why not? Here we go. All right, twist it in. Now here I just did a single cascade. All right, I just did one. Dovetail this. It's nice when you have a lot of ribbon left. For some reason, there was a lot of ribbon left on there. A little bit. Okay, there we go. And this is kind of like, it's kind of going in that, it's filling in that space between the top layers, right? All right, so we got that. I do still have this, but I don't think I'm going to end up using this. But you can, I mean, if you wanted to, you could use this to make a really small bow with the rest of like whatever's left over from this. Make a bow to go on a lantern. Something nearby, because if you can have multiple patterns that like repeat, it makes your decor seem really cohesive. All right, let's do some more. Here we go. This turned out much more fun. I wasn't sure I was going to do the cascades, but yet here we are. Here we are. Just cascading our way through a wreath. Okay, no, I don't want to go on top of there and do that, so I'm just going to kind of skip one. Where am I? No, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna cascade it. Here we go. So the next one, I'm adding a cascade down here. Again, about a 7-inch tail on that. Bring that around. Now, I'm going to go over 2 of them this time because I went over 2 of them up there. I can go over 2 of them down here. That's kind of for balance. Okay. I'm going to open these up. Put that in there. All right. I want to give it a little bit more. So just give it a slight tug just to make sure. There we go. Here we go. Oh, no, we don't want the piece going in there. No, no, no. All right, and I think we got enough to do one more. We're going to do one more little, it's a mini cascade, so it's going to only jump over 1 set of tines, I think, on this one, or we just got kind of 2. All right, so here we go. Okay. Put these over each other, pinching together. I'm going to do this at this next one right here. Boop, put it in. Okay, it's going to loop, and now we're going to put them in the next one. I'm just going to open this up so I've got it open. That's the nice thing about these wreath frames is I'm opening it up and nothing's falling out. It just already learned its place. It's staying exactly where I need it to be. All right, put that in there. Pinch and twist. All right. I'm really happy with how they turned out. All right. This is our last little snip, guys. Our last little snips. There we go. All right. Let me get some of this off of here. I'm going to clean my space so that we can do our final fluff. Take a look at what we've got. There's still enough you can totally make a whole bow. You could also take some of this ribbon if you wanted if you wanted a little bit more, you do this. You just kind of take the tail, do that, put it in there and then have just a tail coming out, right? You can do that too. You can do that. Linda, you will do that. I like it. All right. See how that looks? It's got a little loop. It's kind of covering that little red twisty there. There we go. Yeah, let's do that. All right, I'm not going to cut it until I've got it in there. So I'm just kind of twisting it in there. The back is just looped over the front. Oh, I want to push that in the back. Push that into the wreath. There we go. There we go. And then this kind of comes out and kind of matches the length of that. You know how sometimes I say I go overboard? Sometimes people yell at me. They're like, less is more. And I'm like, no, more is more. More. That's why I'm a fat chick. More is more. All right. Got that going. That looks cute. Yeah, I got enough. We're going to just keep going around real quick. I make a loop. See, I got the back of it right here. And then I just kind of make the loop. The loop is about 4 inches. Go in here. Pop it in. Give it that good twist again. Then bring the loop forward to kind of hide the branch. Okay, we don't have to see the branch. You can, but you don't have to. All right. Oh, it came out. It came out because I didn't put it in there far enough. Let's try it again. Put in that a little further down. All right, here we go. Putting it in there, giving it a good twist, and then bringing that loop forward. Okay, so it looks kind of like that. You guys can see it up there. You guys can see it over there, even though it's upside down. Just adding in a little bit of loops, right? We don't see it. All right. Hopefully I'm going to have enough to go all the way around. I probably should have measured. Well, you know, crafting is a little bit of measuring and just a whole lot of praying. It's just going to be okay. I think we can make it. I think we can make it. Let's look at how much we've got left. I think we're good. 1, 2, 3. I think I got to do 4 more. We'll see. We'll see. If I can't make it all the way around, then we'll at least have what we have. Okay. It just takes a little bit extra time. This is taking what, like maybe an extra 5 minutes. But I think it's going to add just a little extra, because I don't have any florals in here. It's going to add just a little extra prettiness, right? I didn't twist that tight enough. There we go. There we go. All right. Oh, I think I'm going to be good. I think I'm going to be good, guys. Hold it on. Hold it out a little bit to see what we've got left. I think we're good. All right, nice good tight twist. Come on, baby. Let's do the twist. Oh, I can't say that too much because I don't want to get kicked off of any of the platforms that don't like people singing copyrighted music. I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to lose my monetization. I think I'm going to be honest, open and honest. Here. I get monetized on my Reels, so I make a little bit of money. I think I made $163 last month on Reels. It helps my engagement, but I mean, at $163, that's you know, $163 that I could put into more supplies for wreath kits that eventually turns into revenue. So reels are the way to go. Here we go. Bring that around. I got one more. Yay. One tail more. Am I almost done with making this wreath? No, I'm not going to sing in this. I'm sorry. I already did my little Wicked Broadway thing that one night back in, was it August? Yeah. I tortured people making me listen to this, singing Wicked. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I am not Elphaba. I'm no Idina Menzel. All right, so we went through, we kind of added in our loops, and that's how we used up. And then this is kind of about how much I've got left. So we're talking about 26 inches or so on the 1.5 inch ribbon. So that'll make a cute little bow. And here we go. All right, I'm going to put it down this way first. Okay, so the people that are staring from above can see this is what we came up with. Okay, that's what we've got. Make sure it looks good. I'll bring it down. Actually, maybe I'll scooch it out. There you go. You can see that's what we did with our little cascades coming down. And I hope you have a fantastic week. And you can catch me on the face page 7 p.m. Central on Wednesdays. I think this week we may be doing a Nutcracker Grapevine. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. My sweeties, have a fantastic week. Love you all.
Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. You can shop all of my items at sweetariadecor.com, and you can follow me all over social media.